Let me introduce our panel today. Tony Sayegh, by special request, sticking around for us. Tony, thanks.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
I know there were a couple of topics we didn't get to in the last hour, but we will tackle them this hour with
sure.
our all-star live chatters that are joining us. Also, Yaverbaum, President, Ericho Communications, and also co-founder of a really interesting website that I was checking out before we went on the air, readtovote.org. Also, is this your tweeting handle?
That is my tweeting handle. It is. At Real Yaverbaum.
Real Yaverbaum. This is not the fake Yaverbaum.
No, somebody actually did knock off my name when I initially started tweeting.
You got to get them all. You got to register for them all.
Yes,
That's how it works
yep,
nowadays.
Yep.
Thanks for being with us, Eric.
No,
really
it's
a
great
pleasure to have you here. And I do want to start by asking you about that website, because I've reported and anchored shows where we've talked about legislation that's being voted on, and I've asked elected officials to come to our studio, usually D.C., and bring these bills that are, you know, 1,000 pages, 2,000 pages. They can barely hold them up when I ask. And when I do, I ask them, let me just ask you a question. For example, the stimulus. Page 88. Any jobs there?
Yeah.
And they're like, I got to 88. No jobs on 88. Okay, 764. Any jobs on page 7? We didn't get that far. But you're voting on it today.
Right. Well,
is that what the website is?
Yeah, well,
meant to do?
That's the point of the point of the website is twofold. One is that our elected officials, they don't read those bills. When you look at a bill, it's unimaginable to me that we pass and enact legislation in this country and the people who vote for it don't actually read it. They get 12 interns to give them summaries of different sections.
Well, judges do that too.
Yes, they
sometimes.
do. But that's not really what we voted for. But equally as appalling to me is if we're going to have such a strong opinion about legislation, let's be educated about it ourselves. When I read the 12 different versions of the health care bill, very hard reading. This stuff will put you to sleep, definitely.
Like
but at least I could
Right.
I can intellectually have a debate that's based on what is really written in those documents, rather than just having a debate about what I read in the paper I see on TV.
Well, we're going to book you again if you're really reading this stuff.
You guys do book me. You have me every week, so you must know I'm reading this stuff.
That's great. And it's so important, and you're right, that's what we send them to Washington for, because we often can't get our hands on it. Now we can for a minute online, and we can sort of understand it. But your elected officials, are they not obligated, Tony, to take a look at this and really understand it and be well versed?
Of course, and that was part of the public ire over the health care bill, was that it was this almost 2,000 page, I think, by the time it was all said and done, monstrosity that was being rushed through a process in which the legislators who were voting on the bill clearly were not reading it. I'm sure you read more of it than most of the legislators did. You know. So I think that concerns people. The other thing that concerns people, and I've heard a lot of this from outside of the Beltway folks, if it takes 1,000 pages to say it, should it all be one bill? I mean, have we gotten to a point where we're that illogical and impractical in government that we only can do things if it takes 2,000 pages to do it? Shouldn't we start doing things more systematically, more incrementally, so people could actually understand what a certain law means?
And to really just to you know, that visual that you're talking about, that stack with that
healthcare bill.
Like this,
I would ask them to hold it up,
the
and
entire
they could barely
bill.
lift it.
And it would take me a couple days to do every version that I read. I had sticky notes that would reference back to other pages, because every page referenced back to some other page, to let people see. Let me show you this visually, just like you would a textbook in college. This is how, if you want to understand this bill, this is how you're going to have to read it. I had a yellow sticky on every single page.
So what will your readtovote.org website accomplish, and what kind of response are you getting?
Well, we've got half of Congress, half of our elected officials to sign that they will read the bill. Whether that means they'll do it or not, I don't know, but they have. And we've gotten hundreds of thousands of people to also sign that they will read bills if they have an opinion about them.
That's great.
And we'll get them to do that.